Need to change that clock out of about 3 minutes.
Bam.
I know that.
It's 9 o'clock. Could you join us for our flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business will be our minutes from last Monday's meeting.
So moved.
Dawn has moved. I'll second. All in favor to approve last Monday's minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Consent agenda, 2 motions. The first being upon the request of the Coffee County Housing Authority Board, move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the real estate mortgage release acknowledging satisfaction in full debt secured by Carolyn A. Casey, Lot 4 of Block 2 of the subdivision of Jacobs Creek Landing, more commonly known as 230 Main Street, Hartford, Kansas, 66854, Coffee County, Kansas. Book volume M283, page 398 and 399 for the records of the Register of Deeds for Coffee County, Kansas. Second, to authorize, we'll do these one individually. So the first one for the real estate mortgage release. Brett has moved.
I'll second.
Don is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 4-0. The second would be to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Shelley Cole, new hire, the appraiser's office, as Field Appraiser 1, classification TPA 1, the wage of $16.26, effective July 20th, 2020. And this is to fill a vacant position. Brett has moved.
I'll second.
Don is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Carries 4-0. Heidi here?
She was. I think she's getting copies of
Okay,
it.
Heidi's getting copies. We've got a couple minutes and we'll have our zoning and subdivision, or zoning case SU 2020-01.
Yeah, Midwest,
Mid-States
Mid-States materials.
they have a presentation that they could show regarding this, if you guys would like them to set up.
If you want, if you got a screen set up,
Okay.
I'd be, yeah, let's set it there so the camera can see it.
Can we do it on that roll?
Morning, Heidi.
Morning, Cody. Sorry. Mr. Chairman?
Presenters are ready. I need a few more minutes. Ready, Heidi?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I get started. Call for our next agenda item, which is a public hearing on case number SU 2020-01. This is for, it's an application for the establishment of an expansion of an existing rock quarry located at 1763 17th Road in Waverly, Kansas, 66871, that was previously approved by case number SU 2014-05 as a special use in the A1 Agricultural District. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask the governing body members if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they or their relatives own property in the official notification area, or they have a conflict of interest or particular bias in the matter. According to our bylaws, those members who only abstain from voting are still a part of the quorum, and I declare that we now have a quorum of 4 present for the consideration of the case. Has the county clerk received any protest petitions on the case?
No, I've not.
I ask if the governing body members, if they've received copies of the unapproved minutes of the planning board meeting from June 17th, 2020, which summarizes the hearing on the case.
Yes.
Yes. Having determined that the members have received the minutes of the planning board meeting, we'll proceed with the case. The governing body will first hear from the zoning administrator, and then the applicant and members of the public will be asked if there is any new information on this case. Commission members may choose to ask questions of the zoning administrator, the applicant, county staff, and the public. I now call on our zoning administrator, Heidi Harris, for her report on the case.
I'm gonna go to the case real quick, and we're gonna kind of work a little through there. So if I go a little fast, just tell me. So I'm gonna skip to the zoning administrators tab, because the first part of it was just the checklist the planning board did, like you guys have. So it's SU 2020-01. Applicant is Michael Dodley and Lavina Dalby, and Mid-States Materials Coalition agent. And then it's a special use to establish an expansion of existing rock quarry located at 1673 17 Road, Waverly, Kansas, 66871, that was previously approved by case SU 2014-05. The remainder of the report has the ag use map, which is the next page. Shows what the uses are for the land that was around it, the board heard. Do you want me to go over those, Mr. Chairman?
Any questions on land use, surrounding area land use?
The background I heard was that there's two properties that are wanting for this special use that are currently zoned as A1 agricultural land. They're being used as agricultural land by the landowner. Mistakes materials discussed with the current landowner expanding their existing rock quarry that is located directly north of their property. The request is to expand on the existing rock quarry operated by Mistakes Materials located at 1673 17th Road, Waverly, Kansas, with both of the properties located directly south of the existing quarry site. The remainder of that shows the factors and findings that the board went through that they made for the case. On pages 3 through 5. Then on pages 6 and 7 would be the conditions that they placed on the case. The correspondence tab is going to show the pictures that I took first in there, showing the property as it is as of June 2nd when I went out and looked. As you can tell, it's just mostly grassland and there's several trees. There's just a couple of pictures and it takes you down going south along the road. That's what all those pictures do. And the last picture in there was on the landowner that would have been to the south of the second property that's looking north on their property. The next document in there is the sanitation officer's report for the case. And the last document in there was the correspondence that I had with a couple of landowners about the case that they heard. The next tab has the notices, and then after the notices would be all the maps, like the contour map, the South of area notification map, and then the list of landowners. Plus, one didn't receive the certified mailing, it shows. And then we have the floodplain map as well, to show where the floodplain goes at in the property. And the last tab is going to be the application tab. And in that application tab has all the information that our special use regulations need to be able to, for the board to look at it for approval. The board did recommend approval on this case. And that would be it for the presentation to the board. Do you guys have any questions?
Heidi, thank you for your presentation. Are there any written communications or petitions from the public? Angie?
I have not received
Have
any.
not received any. Thank you. Does the applicant wish to present any new information?
I do not have any new information that was not presented to the planning commission. However, if you would like to see our presentation, we'd be more than glad to show it to you.
Any objections? I don't have any questions. Sure. All right. Want to see the presentation? All right. Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, well, I'll be brief as I can. We are Mid-States Materials. We're a corporation out of the Bettis group of companies. You might have heard of our mothership, so to speak, is Bettis Asphalt. One of the things that we discovered is that Bettis Asphalt is in the low bid business. We only win work if we're the low bid. Counties, cities, KDOT, KTA. And by having our own quarry company, Mid-States Materials, we actually control one of the main components of asphalt, which is the aggregate. So we try to have quarries around the state that would help us not only win bids, but it also is helpful to cities and counties in the state because they enjoy a lower bid process, thus saving taxpayer money. We've been around for almost 20 years now. We're based out of Topeka, Kansas, and we deliver a full line of crushed and processed aggregate to your driveway rock all the way up to concrete grade material. I know this is hard to read, but that is a map of our current quarries. And of course, the Wolf Creek Quarry is the one that we're talking about today. And it's a very active quarry, and it's so active that the end of life is in sight of our current quarry, and it needs to expand. The quality rock that we get out of that quarry exists to a property to the south, and that's what we're here for today, to ensure the life of this quarry. All of our aggregate, we meet KDOT standards, so even when we're providing aggregate to your county or to the cities, it's still meeting KDOT quality. So here's a map. You can see our existing quarry to the north, and the property to the south is the property that we are talking about today. Here's a picture of the flood zone, and obviously we stay out of that. This map is tilted, by the way. North is going to your right. That's why it looks a little bit different. But in order to get it on that screen, we had to tilt it 90 degrees. But obviously we stay out of that flood zone. Here's a geological map of what we're talking about. That gives you the layers that we're dealing with, and we're getting after that limestone at the bottom, the Platts Mouth. It's a 13-foot ledge through here. Of course, this is in a very rural area. We're blessed by the fact that we don't have neighbors in that area, but I do want to show you a map of some blasting that occurs next to residential subdivisions. The technology is such that they can now blast within 500 feet of existing houses and not cause harm. They do this by using smaller but more numerous blasts, and you can see on the left that it's been drilled. All those little white circles are drilled for blasting. So instead of having that one humongous explosion that throws stuff everywhere, these are controlled blasts. The energy is directed straight down. Any energy that goes up is wasted energy. So the technology is such that we've gotten very good at it. We do have Dan Hurt with us today in the audience. He's with Buckley Powder. He's our expert that we use to help us in blasting, and if you have any blasting questions, he'd be glad to help. Again, here's another picture of an existing quarry over in Allen County. And as you can see, the houses are right on top of that quarry to the south. This is a picture of a quarry that we own. This is Edgerton Quarry in Johnson County. And I'll show you this picture to show you that the city of Edgerton is immediately to the left. The yellow line is their downtown Main Street. You can sit on Main Street and see the entrance to the, or you can see the screening that we use on that quarry. The other reason I show you this picture is that if you look to the south of our quarry, that development down there, that construction is Johnson County Parks and Rec. That is Big Bull Nature Park. It's been there now for a couple of years. It's a venue that you can have weddings there. Well, pre-COVID, but they were so confident in having us as their neighbor that they put in a nature park with walking trails. This picture's a little bit older. They now have walking trails up along that fence line. That's how confident, after observing our operations for several years, they had no hesitation in putting in a nature park next to our quarry. Here's a memo on the blasting. I think it's in your written materials that you have in front of you. It's impossible to see on the screen, but again, if you have any questions about the blasting, please feel free to ask. Again, I think even more important than the science of this memo is the actual seeing the pictures of subdivisions right next to blasting. If you're a certain distance away, and of course we're now blasting within 500 feet, the blasting will be similar to your kid bouncing off the hallway wall. And that's basically what this quote says. Daily life in an active family will produce strains in walls similar to those produced by the blasting vibrations. And if you're anything like the kid that I have, he's going to exceed that. So this is a magazine that's basically our industry standard. And this is a July 2018. We made the cover. This is our quarry in Topeka, Kansas, just outside of Topeka, the Big Springs quarry. And the cover of this were our environmentally friendly operations and how we control dust and how we conduct our operations and still be friendly to the environment. And part of that is not only noise, dust, and other things, but you also have to think about the stormwater discharge. And we have to have several permits, as you can imagine. And we also have to have a SWIP that you'll have access to when it's, you already have access to our current one, but the new property, when we get there, we'll also have one. Whenever there's a half-inch or greater rainfall events, we have to monitor. We monitor every 14 days. We take a water sample. There's an industry standard set by KDHE, less than 45 milligrams of suspended solids per liter. And we meet that. We meet that by using stormwater ponds or sediment ponds, however you want to discuss them. But there's on-site water, plenty of on-site water for us to have these. And basically, it's exactly what you think it is. It's a small pond, and all of the water goes through that pond. The sediments fall out, and then the clean water is discharged. And here's an example of a sediment pond, again, on our quarry next to Topeka. They actually just look like normal, everyday fishing ponds, to tell you the truth. There's another picture of a different one, and this one has a sub-picture of the actual discharging water. And you can see how clear that is. And then yet another one at a different quarry. And again, as you can imagine, at a quarry site, we're heavily regulated by the state of Kansas, and for that matter, the federal EPA. Just in case you were wondering, this is a question we often get asked, so we just put it in as part of our presentation. We are not in the landfill business. We don't own landfills. We've never sold a property to a landfill business, so we can take that off the table right now. The other thing that we hear a lot about are, you're going to affect my valuation of my home. And again, here, we're not really that close to any homes, but in other places we are. So part of our presentation is we can actually show there's a national study where they found that operating rock quarries does not negatively impact home prices. Well, that's great. Everybody knows you can find a study that says anything. Here's a national study. So what I did, and again, you're going to have to refer to the written materials that we provided you because this is impossible to read. But we looked at all of the quarry, or all of the residences around that quarry in close to Topeka. That quarry straddles the line, by the way, between Shawnee County and Douglas County, and the residences that are around that quarry are on the Douglas County side. So I used the Douglas County website, and these are the 11 homes that are the closest to that quarry. And some of them, you can get them all on one picture. That's how close they are. They surround the quarry on two different sides. And what we found is that in the years 2016, 17, and 18, they increased in value almost 5% per year, which actually was in line with the Douglas County valuations countywide that year. So we didn't see a negative impact. And again, Big Springs is actually our largest quarry. It's even bigger than that one you saw, the Edgerton quarry you saw a picture of. And again, it's not depressing home values at all. So here's a picture of an abandoned quarry in Franklin County. This was kind of before the state of Kansas started to regulate, but the mine operator there just simply was done one day and left. And that's how the property looks to this day. We don't do that. We are very proud of how we reclaim property. We've made it a priority for us, and we actually even have a mission statement about it. Our goal is to leave the land aesthetically pleasing so it can have meaning for future generations. And, you know, inside of our own company, we have people who fish, people who hunt, people who take the environment very seriously, and they all have say in how we reclaim. And we're so proud of how we reclaim that in the last 8 years, 3 different times we have won the Land Reclamation Award, and there's former Governor Cole Anderson, who's also here with us today, the award in those years. What happened next is that the reclamation in Kansas is governed by the Department of Agriculture, and the Department of Agriculture took our 3 properties and they submitted those as one application for the national award. That's not something that we can do. It's the state of Kansas has to do it, and they did it. And in fact, on those properties, we won the national award in 2018. So we were basically Super Bowl champions, World Series champions, however you want to say it. We won the Super Bowl of reclamations. It was a pretty big deal in our industry. It's a very big deal to us. We made the front page of the Topeka Capital Journal and the front page of the business section of the Lawrence Daily Journal on our award. So again, you have to refer to your written materials, but here's a letter from the person at the state of Kansas who applied for that award for us, Scott Carlson, and of course underneath the COVID rules. He usually comes to these meetings and is available to answer any questions that you have, but they can no longer do that underneath their existing regulations. So he does supply us with a letter, and again, it's in your written materials. Here's the 3 reclamations in one picture. That's probably my favorite picture of anything that I show in all of my presentations. But it's hard to believe that that used to be an intense quarry operation. The golden factors, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with those, quite frankly. In other cases, I do go over them in detail. But basically what we have here is that we already have an existing quarry that's been approved. It's underneath the CUP. So a lot of the factors like the neighborhood and prior zoning and how the land's being used now and how what's expected to be used in the future, those have already been determined by your commission when the other CP was given. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I only note that it's very important for municipalities, governments, farmers to have close operating quarries. We sell a lot of ag line. It's of course of great importance to farmers. That benefit to the community of having the cheap aggregate as opposed to having to drive miles and miles. And by the way, it's the trucking that kills you on rock costs, right? It's not actually the rock, it's the trucking. So that a healthy community needs to have quarries close to it, and of course we meet that. That's pretty much the end of my presentation. I do have a small reclamation video that shows you how we did that. I have enough light here to see them. This will only take 2 minutes.
Our goal is to leave the land aesthetically pleasing, but for the land to also have a meaning for the future generations. The big screen's cool. goal is to leave the land aesthetically pleasing, but for the land to also have a meaning for the future generations. The Big Springs Quarry is a 2,000-acre surface quarry that has several different phases. We just finished our third phase and completed the full reclamation of that phase. Once we extract the limestone, we try and backfill and reclaim as we go. At the end of mining, we then grade the layout of the land and spread topsoil and seed. We're really excited to show the after product of mining responsibly. Our goal in reclamation is to put the ground back even better than what it was when we found it. We've planted 900 trees for quail and pheasant, stocked over 100,000 fish, and spent over 10,000 man-hours reclaiming the Big Springs It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time, and a great plan. But look what we can put back after we mine responsibly.
Well, that's the end of our presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to help answer those.
At one, you talk about stocking fish, just curiosity. Do you open those up to public fishing then?
Well, almost always we're on private land.
Or is it on private land?
Yeah, we usually lease, right? Our business model is mainly leasing. So
Makes sense.
I wish we could.
What's the expected life of this quarry that you're proposing?
Oh, you know,
And I know that depends on the man.
that's the answer. I mean, it's impossible to say. That the quarry to the north has been operating how long?
5 to 10 maybe.
Yeah,
It's 15.
yeah. And like I said, it's, you know, we can see in the life. When I say in the life, I don't mean next year. We got to plan these things ahead, 3 to 5 years. That's why we're here today. But the demand out of that has been pretty constant. I can tell you that. That's why we're here today.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you for presentation. Does anyone from the public wish to respond to the applicant's information or provide new information on this case, not otherwise presented at the hearing?
I would. My name is Wayne Blackburn, Coffee County engineer, also resident of Coffee County. I attended the meeting, part as consultant and also part as just being part of the audience. There was one resident to the north of the property that had concerns about dust and dust control. I do support the application by my comments. I'm not making any reference to say that they are doing anything poorly other than the dust control. The comments that were being made was dust control was the county's relationship or working relationship when we placed the magnesium chloride. Okay, that only happens once a year, but dust control is actually for the whole year. Their operations is for the whole year. So other quarries actually have water trucks, or they spray the magnesium chloride throughout the year, however they want to manage the dust control. The other comment made was when they're crushing rock, photos were taken that showed a lot of dust that was coming from that operation. And so they had made comment that maybe sometimes equipment breaks down because there are like dust suppressors where they actually spray water on the dust to settle the dust prior to it traveling to the north. And so my comment would be, as you had made reference to the previous applications, what you're building off of. So also on the previous application, it did state, one of the conditions was dust control. So one of your responsibilities in this application today is also to manage dust control that was previously approved on the other application. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Wayne, got a question for you as consultant then. So the quarry operating license through the county.
The quarry operates through the state. They work through a conditional use through application and zoning.
Wasn't there another document? I'm trying to think back to when the first case, and we had a group of quarry cases in that time frame.
Mhm.
Wasn't there another county document?
There's
Specific.
a follow-up document on this. Basically, once this application is approved, there's a follow-up document that basically meets their stating that they had met their bonding requirements. I believe that's one of them. And help me out,
Mr.
Heidi.
Chairman, can I approach?
Yes.
The document you're referring to is our operating permit for
Yes.
quarries. And there's requirements about bonding, there's requirements about dust control, and there's other requirements.
That's what I thought. Specifically, dust control was spelled out in that quarry operating permit.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other public comments? Does the applicant have any further response to the public comments or any closing remarks?
The only thing I would say is that the dust control was applied last week. We don't actually do that ourselves, but we pay for it. We're glad to do that. The dust control, you know, it is what it is. We're blessed here that there's only, it's a very sparse neighborhood. I can say this, that we've never took a complaint in the years we've been operating there until the planning commission meeting. It was a problem. I mean, we didn't know about it. So no one's said it has been a problem until the planning commission meeting, so. But we're all pretty confident in our dust suppression systems that we have on our crusher. And I might point out that crusher is not there year round. It's just it crushes, it's a mobile unit. We try to crush for 2 seasons at a time. So that crusher might be there a month, 2 months, and then we don't crush again for, you know, could be 2 more years before that thing even shows up, so. I mean, that's probably part of the reason why there's not that many complaints, is because we just don't crush that often there.
Thank you. Commissioners have any questions for the applicants or the public? Assuming the governing body has received all the information they need in this case, I'll outline the choices provided under the state statutes for the governing body's action. First option would be to approve by a majority vote, move to adopt the findings and factors and recommendations of the planning board, case number SU 2020-01, and to approve such resolution. Or option 2 would be disapprove by a majority vote, to adopt the findings and factors of the recommendation of the planning board to disapprove case number SU 2020-01. Third option would be to override and approve by a 2/3 majority vote to override the planning board's recommendation in case 2020-01. Our fourth option would be to override and disapprove by a 2/3 majority vote the recommendation from the planning board regarding case SU 2020-01.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
sorry, there's actually 2 more options on the back. Sorry.
Yeah. Or we can send it back to the planning board by a majority vote, return the recommendation of case number SU 2020-01 for further consideration, or we can table the vote by a majority vote, table the case SU 2020-01.
And that resolution's 854, if you guys chose that first motion.
854.
854.
854. So our planning and zoning board did recommend approving the case with conditions, those conditions being that it shall meet the requirements of the special use policy statement on the special use application and county quarry operating permit requirements for commercial development of natural resources under the Coffee County zoning regulations. Next condition, that the normal working hours be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Normal blasting hours be limited 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Next condition, that all land be leveled to accommodate mechanical mowing except the quarry location to the landowner's discretion. Next condition, that the reclamation purposes, that a seed bed be prepared in all areas not otherwise part of the quarry, the driveway, or the stockpile area be reseeded to native grass according to the NRCS or the landowner's discretion. Next condition, that the perimeter boundary of at least 100 feet be maintained for a setback and future access area except the adjacent quarry property lines. Next condition, that the overburden be periodically returned to the pit as the quarrying progresses. That the rock blasted from the quarry be removed from neighboring property which might otherwise obstruct the use of their property. The operation of the quarry should be confined to the area of the property west of the floodplain. And the normal haul route from the rock quarry will be going west on 17th Road. Other routes need to be approved with the county engineer. Those were the conditions planning and zoning board recommended.
Do the dust control conditions fall in that category?
Number one, that first condition would be that requirement for dust control. So that would be that.
County quarry operating permit.
So any of these conditions present any issues that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the recommendations of the planning board.
Okay.
I'll second it.
So Fred has moved to approve, move to adopt the findings and factors and recommendation of the planning board, case number SU 2020-01, and to approve resolution number 854. And that includes the conditions recommended by the planning and zoning board. Fred has moved, Dawn is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. So persons aggrieved by the final decision of the governing body on this matter have 30 days for the effectuating resolution is published within which to appeal to the district court. I want to thank you all for participating in this hearing, and you're welcome to stay for the remainder of our meeting. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you for being a part of our county.
We appreciate it. And I would like to give a compliment to Heidi. She has been very good to work with.
Wayne, if you're ready.
Okay.
So do we get a discount with our rock as well?
No, we won't go there.
We won't go there.
Wayne,
All right.
Wayne, I hauled rock out of that quarry when I remember that anybody in this room, years and years ago, when it was a quarry.
Well, I won't go there, Bob, but I'm gonna leave that one alone. Okay, okay. Yes, it was. It was a previous quarry, and Mr. Hanthorn does an excellent job with geology. We get really quality rock through there, so we appreciate working with him. Fine operation.
I'm glad we're from there.
But we're blessed with quite a few quarries here in the county. So,
But he did say that would make projects get it cheaper.
I think access, supply and demand and such as that, so Yeah, I believe you're right, Bob. He did say that, they're gonna start quoting those rock prices cheaper. Additionally, you're right. As you caught that
I'm
much
not
better
sure
than
that's
I
what he
did.
said,
I
but-
believe that's what. So, Cole will take care of it.
He can help us.
Appreciate that. Thank you. No road permits, no zoning permits, other than the hearing we had today. So landfill, just a brief update. We're still working on the clay liner. We're up on our third lift, keeping in mind our lift's about 6 inches. So we're striving for the 2-foot clay liner. And so we're working the bottom at this point, and we'll start working the sides up. So with weather, that could be probably a couple more weeks, and then we should be seeing the liner, the plastic liner come in, high density polyethylene. Also too is there has been some discussion on the filter rock as far as it being shipped. Right now, the thing on that is just basically timing. There's not much room for the filter rock at the landfill. We really need it close to the cell. So we need to be done with the clay liner first and then come in with the filter rock. And so that's going to be an additional expense. That'd be forthcoming. Construction zone, and I do have a couple of talking points. I have no motions, but I have a couple of talking points. So snap pipe liners, erosion repair, installing some new entrances for the bridge crew. Assistant fleet, we have still working with the landfill. And also keeping in mind that we have 2 excavators, so we are able to split. And so, but most of the assistant fleet is working at the landfill. We are still patching countywide at this point, and we are mowing, as you've seen, countywide as well. And sign maintenance at this point. We are also, too, this is something we talked about, Mr. Bluey's property is talking about stockpiling the chips, and so we're starting that operation this week. And so shortly, we should be starting our chip seal program. That's generally the case, it's just right after the 4th, and so we should be starting chip seal here possibly next week. But we'll see where our schedule's at. One of the other talking points that I have, or one of the talking points I have too, is going to be kind of setting the grounds for when we can do our chip seal, and that's basically distribution of our courses of what we can and can't do. One of them is the, since I'm talking about that, I'll just jump right down to the third talking point that I have on my report. And that is on the 6 bridges where we're doing the patching, the polymer overlay on those bridges. We have the one bridge over on 12th Road. I explained that the bridge was built back in the 60s. The gravel road is the same elevation as the bridge. So once we removed that 5 inches to 6 inches of asphalt, we also removed that from a portion of the approaches at the bridge. And so that brought the asphalt down to the gravel. That was the level of the bridge at that time. And so we're needing to do some approach work. And so we have approximately 100 feet on both ends. And so I did get a bid price. Just one is for a change order price from the contractor. I don't really want to say what the number is because I'm possibly be going into a bidding type situation scenario. But I would say it was just near around the 50,000 mark is kind of where we're at. So high or low, it's somewhere in that area. And so we're doing 100 feet on both ends. I felt that this might be something where we might be able to go ahead and do some of the subgrade work and then come back and hire the asphalt on top of it. But by doing so too, that project would be actually more exposed to that gravel, where we'll maintain our signs. We have our signs currently right now at 45 miles an hour and signed as loose gravel. It's still safe. We're not developing any potholes at this point, but eventually with a gravel surface, there's nothing to stop the water from going down and starting to break down the subgrade. So we would need to actually make repairs fairly soon. We can't just leave it there for a long period of time. I do have another bid from Asphalt that I feel that in a combination of the county doing some of the work and actually a contractor coming down laying the asphalt, it still might be more economical for us to try to work on that. So the bid that I have from the contractor as far as a change order, I really would like to go ahead and move forward with a different combination to try to do this repair. And so mine is just talking points. If you have any questions, that's kind of where I'm going. I feel that we can probably do some of this work, might be just a little bit more economical than we would do a change order. Mine is when you got a change order that's almost half as much as what the initial repair is. It seems like we might want to look for other options, but it is going to be fairly expensive. When you're dealing with a small amount of asphalt in a certain area, you have all of that cost is basically bringing the equipment there is what you're really paying for. And so we're always going to be, rather high on that. So I just wanted to let you know the condition of 12. The rest of the bridges at this point, Leroy Bridge, contractor's been very cooperative. We appreciate working with PBX. They do quality work. They're also working with us as far as opening the bridge. So over the July 4th weekend, we had planned for a single lane traffic with traffic lights. This was a discussion I had for last week. And so with that, all that took place, but they were not, they didn't have anything open. They only had basically the patches solved, but they didn't have anything open where it made it unsafe. So we're not required to put up the traffic signals, and they opened the bridge for us. And so that made it nice for the holiday. But I also too, is by doing this, is by trying to work with them to try to get them open every weekend, which they have been accommodating us, is here for the next week or two. That won't be the case. So the bridge is going to be closed. It's going to be closed for possibly a period of 2 weeks, depends on the weather. But that was the trade-off, is to say, well, I'm not going to ask you to open the bridge up here this coming weekend. It most likely will be closed. And with that, they should be done with that bridge. So they would be done with 5 bridges. The last bridge, which would be Old Highway 50, that particular bridge, we're still waiting on the permit from the railroad. And so I do not know what that time schedule would be, but some emails were coming across that people are starting to look at it at this point. So hopefully we may have a determination before or shortly thereafter when they finish the bridge down Leroy. So we can go ahead and finish up all 6 bridges.
Wayne, I have talked to all the residencies out there and made them fully aware that that bridge will probably be closed at minimum of 1 weekend and a probability of 2. So they're all aware of it.
Okay. Well, appreciate your efforts in visiting with folks down there. And then also, once again, with the contractor in working with us and trying to get them open. And I still believe that, like I said here last week, that needs to be, we need to put that on a 5 to 10 year type replacement program. And look for ways and alignments that will accommodate that at some point, since that's our only fracture critical bridge that we have in the county. The next one is lights. So as I talked about the traffic signal lights, some of the things I was scrambling around trying to get the lights, and I had contacted 2 other suppliers that provide traffic lights. And so I do have a bid sheet on that'll be turned in when we actually get the bill. The initial cost on it was, like the $3,500 is what we were looking at on that. But the guy was already here. He was in Ottawa the day before we needed him. So he was in Ottawa on Wednesday. I was going to set up everything on Thursday, but then when I visited with the contractor on Thursday morning, to which his plans, he didn't really know what his plans were until Thursday morning. Thursday morning he said, we're not going to have anything opened up. So at that point, then I said, okay, there's no need in putting up traffic lights. So I just sent the gentleman back home, back to Illinois. And so we will have a charge on that, even though the lights weren't used, but there's going to be some charge to that account that we have to pay. But I also, as I was talking about scrambling around, is I contacted Osage County, which has a set of lights. They were not able to accommodate us. They were actually working with Kilo for asphalt. that same Wednesday, Thursday. Then I also contacted Lyon County. They have a set of lights, and they were not able to help us either. So it just seemed to me that, once you get these lights, you're going to find a lot of uses for them. One of the applications is doing this, type of application where you have a closure, then you can set up the lights for a period of time to actually accommodate safety and traffic through that closure. There's other applications where they have used them, Osage in particular, which have extended to us to go and view it. And that was where they do chip seal operations, where they would have a pilot car that would take construction through or traffic through the construction zone. And so you got a set of lights for that. So once again, I feel that these counties that have these lights, as I was calling around, they weren't available. They were using them. And Bob, you asked me here last week, you said, well, how much are they? And I was just pulling numbers from my memory, and I was thinking about 65,000 was what I said. And I wasn't too far off, so I did ask him. I know it's a quote process that we would have to go through, but I did ask him. I said, well, how much would a set of lights cost? And so he quoted him a price that other counties have used. It's almost identical type of setup that Lyon County has. And so you're looking, once again, I don't want to tell you the price, but you're looking right around the 60,000. It's just slightly less for that same set of lights. But once again, I don't have it budgeted. It's not to say that there might be money left over in the equipment budget, but mine would be, if that would be something that you'd like to see to improve safety within our county. I think the thing is we could make use of the traffic signals, but I would be prepared next week for a motion if that's something that you'd like to see as well. So
What would it cost us to rent them for last week, if we would have rented?
3,500.
3,500.
Yeah, and a company out of Wichita was 5,500 on theirs. And the 3,500, yes, that's a price that's really taken into account that it was needed to be delivered. So if we had it for like the whole month, I think we had used it on the plant road for less than 5,000 or something like that. So yes, yeah, if you used it 10 months out of the year, you'd pretty much pay for it, but you'd have to use it that much. So I think we would find some uses for the lights. They definitely add safety to traffic today. People don't pay attention necessarily to signs, and then we are placing flag people, individuals out in traffic. So it does have some. So
what's the life expectancy of the satellites like that? You're looking at 10 years?
I don't have that data. I'd have to ask around to see, but I think part of it's going to be it's mechanical. But you also have solar. There's a solar panel for recharging the batteries, so you can have batteries that replace. So you're going to have regular maintenance that's going to be associated with it. Then what you're going to have is just the weather and electronics, and I believe that's pretty much it. The other side of it is this particular company has stronger trailers. I think that's kind of where you'd have to make consideration. But once you set up the light, then it's just working off the electronics and the solar cells.
Can you go to the state bid? I mean, the state has a lot of those.
I asked if they had state contracts. He said that they do not have state contracts. Have I checked with the state to see if they have contracts with any other companies? No, I have not.
How far of a span can these lights be?
The way they work is they can be several miles.
Maybe several miles.
Yeah, there's several applications. One is you can do it off of a timer. So what they're going to do is they will sync and then basically work off a timer. So like every 10 minutes, they'll go through a cycle. That's one application. The other one is actually a motion type sensor that's, so a vehicle approaches, it will signal to the other one to make sure everything's clear, and then it will switch. And then the other application, which would be the mobile application, this would be like our chip seal operation, or even you can even do it for hot mix asphalt, but we generally do traffic control to the contractor. But The mobile application for chip seal, things that we do, is what they have is they have a remote that when that flag person driving the vehicle, when they come up to the lights, they basically flick it and then the lights will cycle and then they go to the other end and they'll flick that one and then the lights will cycle and so on and so forth.
All options available on,
Yes,
they're
sir.
all available, so.
Yeah, we would make sure
Today
that-
we can do the flag and then.
Yes, we would make sure of that. Some of the things that you'll see on the state side too, is you'll see drop farms that are like an additional option onto them. What they are is, just like a railroad crossing. It's a drop farm. That one we wouldn't do on this particular one, but you do have other options that go with it. There is that limitation on how far off because of the radio signal. When they're trying to talk back and forth as far as what's cleared or not cleared, and that would be the optics or the motion sensors. That would be the limitation, but you're talking several miles.
Bridges and stuff like that's not going to be a problem.
Not a problem. Adams Crew has used them. We placed them on Adams Crew for doing guardrail. Here within the last year, I can think of at least that application. There was a contractor that had used them, or I insisted that they would use them over on 12. That was doing the Phillips pipeline. So they had them there. We had them for a couple of weeks over on the plant road when we were doing shouldering, and then also the contractor was putting up the guardrail, to which the contractor paid for that through traffic control. So there's been at least three that I can think of, and probably 4 that I haven't, times that we've used it within the last year. So, but as I say, we never had it on the option for chip seal. I do feel that will increase the margin of safety for our operation by having that pilot car versus having 2 people out there with a flag. So
My suggestion is probably check into it, bring back more information. Because I think there is some value to what it would do for the county.
if you like, what I'll do is have a motion for next week would be to enter into basically soliciting formal bids. It's not to say that we have to purchase them. Of course, you don't want to go in there to say, no, I'm not really going to purchase them, but I just want to see what price is. I mean, you're going to have to be fair, is to say, okay, our intention is to say that, yes, we would probably be interested in getting lights, but let's see what the cost is. Then I'd be willing to bring in that motion and we could keep moving forward on it. Because I do have a price, as I say, I think it's a fair price, but once again, I don't want to say what the price is other than right around the $60,000 mark.
You mentioned that arm would be an addition to the contract. I'd like to see you get a bid on that as an option.
Okay.
That arm dropping down to me is probably gonna add a huge amount of safety to it.
Mhm.
Without the arm, people are gonna be more likely to drive through it.
Yes.
People drive around the railroad arms, so I'm just drive around this arm just as easy.
I fully realize that, Bob, but I'd like to see that as an option.
What it does, it gives another object for them to see, because sometimes they'll not see the lights.
But if the sunlight's just right, the lights are kind of hard to see.
They might see.
Do we have the signage for those lights, or is that gonna be another?
No, we actually, since we've already set it up several times, those signs are pretty much in stock.
We have the.
Yeah, and the procedure to set them up, the spacing and such as that, we do have on in stock. So Janet. Okay, well then, I'll proceed with that to get a motion to take formal bids on this. That's my report. Are you working on budget? Are you guys working on budget today? Work session or?
I don't think we had it planned for today, but if we've got anything to run the light round table.
Okay. Well, I was gonna make myself available if you guys are discussing budget or needed to visit with the department heads or how you're gonna do it. If you were gonna talk to the department heads, I'd make myself available if I knew.
We did have a printout reviewing projected budgets for the road and bridge and solid waste and special bridge. And on the personnel cost, those totals came up to, on your budget, 2.98, but based on the printout we had was 2.813. So the net difference is you're probably overestimating your budget by 167, which is only about 5%. Whether that's been a reason for us to prove it at that level, I haven't had time to look at it in depth, but
Mhm. And a lot of that, is at the end of it, it's basically on the cash basis law. And Angie knows quite a bit about this, so Angie just chime in on mine. As she reminds me, is at the end of the budget year, I have unencumbered cash to which the accountant has worked with you to say, you're gonna place this amount of money into the next year's budget. And so I always have to make sure that I have enough unencumbered cash to be able to fund the next year's budget. That's part of it. The other side is on the cash basis law is I'm authorized to spend pretty much that bottom number. So, you know, if my budget is $5 million, then I cannot overspend that. So on that one, Don, is when we're looking at, say, that line item on say, personnel or commodities or contractuals, it's that bottom number that I cannot exceed. And so mine is at the end of the day, that all comes together is to say that I can't spend over that amount. And that's my budget. Keeping in mind that I have transfers, so any extra that I have, so if I am a little, say 5% heavy on my personnel, that 5% actually covers towards the bottom of what the total balance would be or remaining balance. And that amount of money actually goes into transfers. So transfers, for example, goes into special highway. And so when you see special highway is the only, special highway is the only one that's funded by my transfers. It is not funded by the tax. It is, well, it inadvertently is, but it basically goes into that fund. I mean, inadvertently means basically the tax money that is taxed out of road and bridge actually goes into special highway. Okay, a person says, well, why do you have special highway? Well, take for example, the ditching project that we had down in the Leroy area. I think we had made a significant improvement in the drainage down in the Leroy quadrant. We have made significant improvements in gravel enhancement projects that we had countywide. We have fixed several roads throughout the 1,200 miles or throughout the 900 some miles of gravel roads that we did gravel road enhancements. And so special highway has been a fund that's has been very beneficial to us in being able to help improve and maintain the high quality of service that we provide to the county. And so the other side that we transfer out is we'll put money into equipment reserve. We generally put around 100,000 back into equipment reserve. So at the end of the day on that one, Don, if you find that money actually coming back to you or coming back into our accounts, what you'll find if I ask anything is take a look at the bottom of my budget and see how much it changed from the previous year. I mean, that's really at the end of the day, I'm always trying to find is to say, okay, how can I maintain my budget without actually asking for significantly more than what I had budgeted the previous year? And so I'm looking at the end of the day is trying to do that, keeping in mind all of our projects and a lot of unknown projects too, is as we deal with unknown projects, we're dealing with weather, we're dealing with flooding, basically results of the weather. That actually require us to do more repairs, which we can't budget for because we're budgeting here in July, but I don't know what the weather's going to do. I don't know what the spring's going to actually require as far as bringing the gravel roads back up into shape. I think the level of service right now is the people of Coffee County expect a high level of service. I think that basically they require or ask of us is to have the best gravel roads and asphalt roads that we can. And I think we do provide it. Mine is I'm always looking at ways to be efficient. When we look at our chip seal operations, I don't believe you're going to find a contractor that can lay down chip seal to the cost that it costs us to lay down chip seal. Obviously, you don't find contracting out gravel roads as far as maintenance, but I feel we're very efficient in what we do. We do have quite a bit of records within our gravel roads. We have inventoried every gravel road to know what the thickness of our gravel roads are. So I believe we're very efficient in our operations and we respond to the safety issues that we have. rather quickly. And I think that is a tribute to our budget. Because of the budget that we have, we're able to respond to it. My budget changes, it also changes the level of service. That's basically the factor that occurs on that one. So I know that, I talked to my folks remind me that, Wayne, you talk way too much. And I said, okay, you're probably right. So I better leave that one alone. Okay. I do have one, that I have an employee, and so I leave it up to you if you wanted to go into executive session, if you wanted to talk about the employee, but the situation is this, that, they qualify underneath the COVID-19 for family care, okay? And underneath the COVID-19, it allows employees to go and be home, take care of their family, those needs. That application goes to the clerk's office. The clerk's office does the review, and I believe they also visit with Wade as well. And so they do the review and say, yes, this person qualifies, and I believe that's how.
Based on the federal government's guidelines.
Based on the guidelines. So we have that.
We're
But
not making the decision, that's up to the board.
up to, okay. So with that, then I have an employee that, in the, what was it, April? We had the month of April that we had folks actually able to work from home. Okay. We know that, that's going to kind of change the economy, the country a little bit for a lot of businesses, how that works. But we also have a request from an employee that's asking to be able to work from home. I support it. I believe Angie's office does. I don't want to speak up to her. But there's nothing in our policy book that basically addresses that. So I'm asking you, are you supporting folks to still work from home if they qualified underneath the federal guidelines? Is that the right question?
Yeah, that would be the correct question.
I'd really like to talk to Wade about all that. I mean, I think that's kind of a Wade question, that give us guidance on that.
Yeah, I think
what we can do and what we can't.
I think that's more Wade's question, if we give us additional information, additional update.
Okay.
Can this individual perform as well at home as the individual can in the workplace?
They have. They did in April, so that's where I would support it and say yes. That's an option for us in this particular situation where they work. I know it's not for everybody. I mean,
I'm not saying we're that opposed, I'm just saying I think Wade's input on this.
okay. Well, then I have asked the question. I will wait to hear from you by next week or so, if we can. And then that way we keep moving forward on payroll and they figure out what they got.
So on this last subject you talked about, making a decision next Monday is quick enough.
Well, I believe so, because we'll be okay. At the end of the day, it needs to be done prior to payroll being turned in.
Okay.
Yeah, they just need to know what they can. I guess the only other thing is they're gonna, I have to back up just a little bit on that one, Don. They're actually asking to do that this week, to work from
That's the
home.
reason I asked. Are they wanting it this week or next Monday quick on that?
So mine would be if, without an answer, I tell them that they couldn't, and then there would be a week without that full paycheck. So could I do this? Could I, for this week, authorize to do that for just this week and then get an answer? Would that be reaching out too far?
Is Wade available for you to discuss that with him today? So we'd have a response from our attorney?
He should be down here shortly.
Could I just hang out then?
Just
And
wait till Wade. I want to wait till Wade.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Sorry.
Take a quick break. Bob?
How do you want to do that?
Heidi, what do you?
Wait. Okay. Well, then I'll hang out. So I'll go to Wade, please.
There you go. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, always busy there.
It's on there.
I always say that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. I don't know, well, we keep crowds and everything, so, wasn't sure how that was gonna go. It's good, yeah. Russell, how are you?
I'll tell you what, your dad. It's been a great visit this summer. I'm glad.
Okay, so you're off.
You have good firework display in Leroy?
Yeah, great fireworks.
I forget who I heard from, but I heard it's as good as they've ever had.
It was, I believe, as good, yeah, and we had a lot more personal fireworks in town.
Tell you what, Leroy, we didn't go back down, but there were fireworks in Leroy for Friday, Saturday night.
Hi, Justin.
Hey, Don, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
We've only got one fireworks stand in Leroy. They sold out, then went and bought more someplace, and I guess they ended up with hardly enough.
We usually have a fireworks show, we didn't have one this year, the closest one was at Vito.
At Vito.
Mhm.
Does Star still have that one?
Mhm.
Roger Star still have it?
Mhm.
How many fireworks stands he running on?
They have quite a few.
He used to have, I think, 7.
Quite a few.
I haven't talked to Roger for a long time.
You ready, Russell? I see Carl.
I can start.
I was say Carl took off, so.
Some of it, Carl and Wade will have to come back for, but we can get started. So the first thing that I think I'll go ahead and bring up is the ice machine died in the kitchen. And so I got informal quotes to replace it. The difference in this one and the old one, this would be a hands-free one to be more sanitary with COVID and everything else. So other than that, they would be similar capacities and everything. This one would store a little bit less, but this one would have like a little bit less storage, but more production. So I got quotes. I tried for 2 in county. The second one first said they could quote it, and then they couldn't. So we got 1 in county, and it is the lowest bid. And so, if you have any questions, I have the detailed quotes here. Otherwise, I would request it.
So what's the matter with the one we have, what road on it?
It was first the sump pump broke that actually pumps the water out, and we tried to replace it. And then when we went to turn it back on, it just wouldn't run, and it's over 12 years old. And Cook said that you're lucky you got that out of it. So.
So this is self-dispense. I mean, I've
I've
never seen a problem where you can just get in there with a scoop and you can lay the scoop out.
Yeah, I've seen some of the dirty hands that go into it.
I guess I have to sit there and watch it.
Yeah, and given the last few months.
So it's like you can put your cup under it and the ice will go into it instead of you having to put your scoop under
So
it.
how are you gonna get ice out of it or when you fill the cooler and stuff?
Just tip the cooler up to it and then roll it.
Just curious.
And then same way we bag it sometimes. So when there is high volume, we'll get, big Ziploc bags and fill them up and put them in the freezer. They'll actually make it easier to do that.
Just question.
It almost takes 2 people to bag ice, otherwise one to hold the bag and one to scoop it out. So this way it'd be a 1-person job.
So now your budget.
Put courthouse general on the motion, because everybody in the courthouse uses it, or at least has access to it. But I anticipate it, submitting it as a COVID expense by going with the self-dispensing.
Motion, read it. Upon recommendation of emergency management coordinator, move to accept the quote from the appliance store, Burlington, Kansas, for Manitowoc model CNF 0201A ice maker and dispenser is the best quote, $4,578.22, which included shipping and a stand for the courthouse kitchen/break room with funds to come from the courthouse general equipment line item.
So moved.
Don has moved. Is there a second? Don has moved. Bob is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Did they give you a time frame on when that?
They did that. Maybe we'll get it ordered today. So, we have, with Wade, we've talked about the, was the one we want to do for the other one? executive order first. So to deal with the governor's executive order to, do you want to address that? Deal with the mandate versus voluntary mask wearing?
Need Carl to come up.
So as, I mean, everybody within the state of Kansas, probably outside the state of Kansas, is aware, the governor issued executive order number 2052 requiring masks or other face coverings in public, and that became effective 12:01 a.m. Friday, July 3rd, 2020. And Carl, through the health department, they issued a press release on July 2nd that sort of may have been what I call placeholder until the board met to take action if they felt that was necessary. So maybe you could summarize what that.
On July 2nd, I convened a meeting with Russell and my current representatives, Sheriff's Department, Amber and Russell. And we had a conference call with Dr. Shell to talk to them about the governor's executive order and what Dr. Shell wanted us to do as a local health officer. And he made a recommendation that he highly recommended that we follow the executive order. So we drafted a press release.
Not that we call it executive order. Highly recommend we wear masks, but not mandate.
Yes, mixed it up, I'm sorry. Anyway, highly recommended we follow it. And anyway, we drafted that press release and put it out on July 2nd in the afternoon. And as part of House Bill 2016, there's a requirement that within section 3.3, we have to have a resolution of why we decided to be lesser than the governor's executive order. And we drafted this resolution, I'm sorry, not executive order, resolution.
So House Bill 2016 is the new legislation that allows a board of county commissioners to issue an order less restrictive than the executive order of the governor, and in doing so has to make certain findings. So because the local health officer has been consulted and the local health officer, Dr. Shell, is recommending face masks or other face coverings be worn, but not mandating it, recommending the mandate, then I think the board has appropriate information to take further action. So what I'm gonna hand out is a proposed resolution for an order exempting Coffee County from requirement of masks or other face coverings in public as mandated by Executive Order 2052. Thank you. So under House Bill 2016, and it would be under what will be later codified as KSA 48.925 subsection H. If a board of county commissioners is going to have a less stringent resolution or order locally, then the board must make the following findings and include such findings in the order. 1, the board has consulted with the local health officer or other local health officials regarding the governor's executive order. As Carl indicated, that has been done and there's a recommendation, but not the recommendation for a mandate. Number 2, that following such consultation, implementation of the full scope of the provisions in the governor's executive order are not necessary to protect the public health and safety of the county. Again, I think that's been covered. The local health officer does not feel that mandate is necessary in Coffee County. And 3, all other relevant findings to support the board's decision. Number 3 in the proposed order as of today's date, July 6, 2020, there are no known positive cases of COVID-19 within Coffee County, which I think is significant and is why that's included. That doesn't mean that if somebody feels like wearing a face covering, they can, and as Carl indicated, is recommended, but not mandatory. So I believe that is what information the board needs to make the determination or decision on whether that's something the board wants to follow through with.
Angie, do you have a resolution number?
That'd be 855.
855.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 855, an order exempting Coffee County, Kansas from the requirements of masks or other face coverings in public?
So moved.
Don has moved. Is there a second?
Second, yeah.
Bob, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Now that that has moved forward, I just wanted to, maybe this is a point of clarification because there are other counties in Kansas that are following the executive order. There are a number that are not. But in section 36 of House Bill 2016, that deals with the, I'll call it the penalty provision of not following an executive order. And in the media release that was issued by the health department, it correctly states that under Kansas law, it's not a criminal offense to not wear a mask or other face covering. The clarification is it's not a criminal offense, it's now a civil penalty. And someone who violates, a person who intentionally violates may incur a civil penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,500 per person. So this is maybe more of a public service announcement. So if someone goes somewhere, they don't, although it's not a criminal offense, it could be a civil penalty in that particular jurisdiction up to $2,500 per violation. And there, the enforcement is through Chapter 60 of the Kansas statute by the Attorney General or the county or district attorney in that particular county. So I just want that to be clarified so that there's no being aware of what the possible ramifications are, I think is important. And I want that if I were going somewhere else, just someone could go into another county and come in contact with law enforcement and they say you're being issued a citation because you don't have a face mask on, wherever that is, they're still following the executive order. Oh no, you can't do that. Well, so then Russell, you can take over for the next one.
So the next one is the coronavirus relief fund resolution to participate in that. So as we talked previously, the deadline for that is next Monday to participate. We have to have it, the commission has to adopt it and have it submitted to the Spark Task Force by Monday. And so Wade and I have reviewed it and they clearly stated that, you know, we could change things in the whereas in the beginning, but it would take a heavy lift to change anything after we get resolved that. So, does the commission have any questions on that? If we want to participate, which I assume we do, this resolution will have to be adopted.
way you've read it, improve it.
Yes. And just because we adopt it now, if 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, and they send us a check and for whatever, some fine print comes out, and we say, hey, this wasn't in the deal, we just send the check back and we're done. So we're leaving the door open by going ahead and doing this now, but we're not closing the door of we can get out by just not spending the money and sending it back. There's something else we come up later.
Was any further guidance issued last week?
Not yet, not for the I's that came across. I had like the deadline for today to submit the primary contact person, which the commission indicated last week wanted to be me. I searched their website for that form, that link, and so I had to send them a question, and they did answer that question. I've sent them some others that they haven't answered yet, and they sent me a link, and so I submitted myself as the primary member as my backup. But no, they haven't forwarded out or shared any additional information.
Assume this would be resolution 856?
Correct.
I'll move to pass resolution number 2020-856 concerning codes for relief fund.
Second. Bob has moved, Fred has second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
And so with that then, you want to talk about this or talk about like the trading part first? Either one. So as we talked last week, my recommendation is to form a committee, and I've had one commissioner already submit one name to me on what we need to do formally to authorize that committee, if that's what the commission wants to do. Just simply make a motion to form a committee, or if they need like a resolution for that. And that doesn't have to be done today, we just want to start the conversation.
Formalize it next week, but that needs to be moving in the background so that I think time constraints and time limitations will make it kind of a rocket blasting off once we go live.
And so my suggestion last week was, maybe each commissioner pick somebody from their district, and then we contact the city and have them submit a committee member. I don't know what the commission wants to do, that's just my suggestion.
I personally would like to go with the cities because 5.1, then I'm leaving one of my cities out. So I'd personally go with the cities. I think the city.
You mean instead, well, I mean 5 appointed by the commission, and then 6 appointed, 1 by each city, is my suggestion.
Okay.
Obviously, you guys can do what you want, because that's probably the maximum number I would want, because you don't want too many, but they all, getting them all there may not happen, and so I think there ought to be at least 7 or 8. So if we get 11, and some of them may not submit somebody, I don't know, that's just my thoughts.
And I'm okay with that, because I have a lot of rule out there too.
Yeah. So yeah, under my suggestion, there could be 11 submitted. But however the commission wants to do it.
I think we definitely want the cities involved.
Another suggestion that was made was maybe, whether they're a formal member or informal member, and obviously they'll be open meetings, so anybody could attend, would be the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development. Maybe they head it up and I just consult with them, and that's fine with me on that small business side, while my office is taking care of the government, schools, hospital, cities themselves, city government, etc. So whatever direction you guys want to give Wade and I on that.
That sounds like a. It's the best idea I got.
What's the best we could discuss?
Like 11 members.
His recommendation is, I don't have a better plan right now. I think that includes the cities, that would include rural areas. As far as the committee membership.
So it's safe to say the commission would like Wade to draw something up for next week to formalize that.
What's the time frame in getting all these people selected for that position?
Well, the sooner the better. The first,
Because a lot of city councils probably won't meet till the first.
right, and maybe it's just something the mayor points, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But the first deadline that we have to submit something back to the state after the resolution's deadline, like I said, is Monday. The first deadline that they put out is August 15th. We have to have in my interpretation, it's a broad budget. And so we have to come up with a broad budget of, out of the 1.7, we're gonna spend 300 on governmental reimbursements for expense and, 700 on small business expense and or stimulus, and then another 700 on, projects to enhance the ability to respond, such as, one example that I've talked with Brad with is enhancing the broadband coverage throughout the county by acquiring tower space and or transmission sites and getting broadband more readily available throughout the county, just be an example. Like in Wisdom County, for example, we don't have a packing plant, but that's one of the shortages is packing plant spaces. Maybe they need another cooler or some sort of meat cutter machine or something. That would be an example of a stimulus plus ability to respond to a need due to COVID. And so things like that. I can see the fire stations maybe upgrading their ice machines, for an example, the ones that don't have to scoop their dirty hands in to fill up the cooler. Just as an example of a possibility. I mean, as far as future projects. And the other caveat then is they got to be, as of right now, they've got to be done and complete by December 30th, with the final accounting due February 1st. And so like we talked last week, part of the architect fees, I believe, the $22,000 portion or whatever portion it was, I think could be attributed to it. Looking at the existing courthouse and social distancing and pandemic response, if you will, changes that could be made. And if they could get to work in and do some of that work, upgraded filtration and HVAC and things like that before December 30th, I don't see why this money couldn't be spent on that. But back to your question, August 15th is the deadline that we have to submit this budget to. And so we'll need like preliminary numbers, and their work could continue theoretically up until, late in November, if there was money still left. And like if we get the applications in and they start prioritizing them, and my thought is the committee looks at them, categorizes them and prioritizes them, and then they bring it to the commission. Well, we recommend you go with this batch first, and then if there's still money left, then you go with this batch, so on and so forth. And so their work could, as long as applications keep coming in, their work could continue, theoretically until November, but I would say at least a couple of meetings prior to August 15th, at least. Yes, that is. You asked it, doesn't whoever else. And so a couple of ways we were looking at getting the information out and collecting the information were these drafts. So this is just a draft application form that was put together in a letter basically to and these are still works in in progress.
This thing one we got last week.
Yeah, there may be a few small changes, but. And so if the commission has any comment or concern about these, by all means, let us know. And, does the commission have any questions right now or concerns?
If you wouldn't mind, I'd just soon you contacted the cities so we could explain the timetables and things maybe more accurately.
And that's fine with me, if that's I have no problem with that. And I would anticipate, like I said, we would, participate in that committee as far as attend and, obviously share information that we get from the state as we get it. So, but I think it would be a good idea. It was Wade's idea to have the chamber and economic development, if you will, maybe lead the committee or chair it, but would be another thought. So I don't know what direction you want to give Wade as far as what he needs to draw up for next Monday to formalize that. Anything else you can think of?
I know there was mention last week about an outside accounting firm, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
If that was,
and that's something I want to bring up too. I was gonna try and talk to Angie and Karen this morning, but I didn't get a chance. Try and talk to them this afternoon and get their thoughts on if we want to go that route or if they think they can handle the accounting part of it. I mean, it's oversimplifying it, but in theory, it'll be one check coming in and a bunch of checks going out. So, like I said, it's probably oversimplifying. Will it be that hard to track? I don't know. Especially like if they both suggested last week to set up its own fund and their own account.
That would be.
Pretty simple to track, I would think, but
Yeah, but I mean, that will be done regardless of they have an outside CPA administered funds and do the reporting. I think the reporting part of it would be the time consuming part, and it would fall in a busy time for clerks and treasurers across the state.
and so that's, if I can, or Angie can, whoever can inquire with the local accounting firms and see if anybody's even interested. And I believe, of course, I've been getting hundreds of emails, I believe I got an email from either from an association that had an accounting firm that was dealing with some of this already, that might already have, they would be outside the county, of course, but, we can inquire on that and come back to the commission with a recommendation later. Again, that's not something that has to be decided over there.
I've seen some emails from clerks, so there's various things they're doing,
The CCA expenses can come out of this money.
Yes.
I would think it would give the public more confidence to know that a CPA was involved. In fact, I've already told some individuals that it would be. So whether that's true, I don't know. But, another question I had, is there any liability to the committee members?
I don't believe to the committee members, Wade can speak to it better than I. There is liability to the commission as far as making sure the money is spent within the guidelines. And so like I mentioned last week, that's one thing that will have to be drawn up is before anybody gets awarded the check, in my opinion, before anybody gets awarded the check, they'll need to sign off on, yes, we're gonna spend it on what we said we're gonna spend it on. And if we vary from the state and federal guidelines, then we either recipient, meaning whoever is liable, not Coffee County. And I don't know, obviously, Wade's the legal person, but there'll have to be something like that, I feel. Before any check is awarded.
I was thinking too, the standpoint if someone felt like they should receive funds and didn't receive funds.
So ultimately, the commission is gonna make the decision who receives the funds. In my opinion, the committee will just recommend. They'll go through and say, well, whether they come up with a scoring system or how that all washes out. The state hopefully will give more guidance for more specificity on how to award those small business funds and stuff. Obviously, the expenses are relatively clear, relatively to the government agencies, schools, hospitals, et cetera, but it's grayer when you get to that small business. And the expense side, not so much, but what qualifies as stimulus, COVID-related stimulus. So I don't know if Wade wants to speak to that. My 2 cents is that ultimately it's going to be the commission that's responsible on how the money's spent. I don't know if Wade.
So the board, as Russell said, is responsible for how the money goes out, but to have that extra layer of insight, I guess, is the word to use, so that people who are invested in the community all across Coffee County are a part of bringing those recommendations to the board. And to me, that helps the local communities have an investment in where that money goes. Although the board ultimately makes the decision, but I don't know in what situation the board, should somebody come forward and say, here's what we recommend, there's a solid basis for that recommendation that makes sense under the parameters of what's required under this. I don't see the board kicking back too much in the situation where, to answer your question, Fred, if somebody feels aggrieved that they felt like they should have got X amount and they either didn't get anything, or the idea is to make this as transparent as possible and to have a committee involved to be a part of that process. I think helps to make it to where all the decision-making isn't put on each one of the board members to kind of bring forward and come up with whatever that baseline. But you get the ultimate decision-making authority, and that's why when these committees meet and they determine what criteria are and what the final figures are, I mean, that's all done in the open as well, and people can be a part of that process and observe it. And I think that's the whole idea of making sure that we follow the Open Meetings Act, so that however this money's spent can be, you can trace it back to whatever that origin is. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah. Transparency, I mean, I think that's the key, especially when we're dealing with these funds. Probably not gonna make everyone happy along the way, and I don't know how you get around that, but you're gonna make some happy, some are gonna be partially happy, some are not gonna be happy at all. I don't know how you, if you're making everybody happy, then you're probably doing something wrong. I wish you could.
You do that.
So, trying to build a system where everybody gets a fair shot and they feel like their voice is heard. There's probably not a perfect way to do that. If anybody has any thoughts or ideas, even from the outside looking in, I think we're all more than willing to listen. And there may be a better way to do it, but that's what we have right now. There's no blueprint. This is what everybody's doing from scratch. So.
When the city of Leroy meets tonight, can we make copies of this and just have a little bit of discussion with them, even though we don't have all the answers? At least they're more aware of what's going to take place in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Or as I'm concerned, as long as they know it's not, the commission's not gonna vote on it unless we formalizing the committee.
So we nothing wrong with meeting with them and doing a small presentation.
Like Wade said, we'll be on somewhat of a timeline, so probably the sooner the better. But just clarifying, it's not formalized until.
Right.
Then the other thing I'll just address again, and address a little bit of it for anybody listening, is the funds are to be used for COVID-related expenses and or stimulus. So, and that's one thing you can see on that draft application. We've marked through I feel like asking the revenue question is really valid because it can't be used for lost revenue. So cities or taxing entities that have lost sales tax, it is not to replace lost sales tax. It is not to replace lost business sales. So if a business, averages 20,000 a month in sales, and through COVID, they only did 5, that 15 is, from what my interpretation so far, and got what little guidance they've given us, that 15,000 of lost sales is not claimable. It's keeping the gas, especially if they had to close, and keeping the electricity on, keeping the gas on, making a mortgage payment. If they had, whatever, $5,000 or $10,000 of product that went bad in the cooler or freezer because they were closed for 60 days. It's buying that plexiglass, it's buying extra gloves and things like that. That is what the intent of the money is for, just to help clarify and get that message out.
CPA, I was contacted by a independent, want to know how you applied for that position. It was, mentioned a week or so ago. They caught wind of it, want to know how to apply for that position. So how are we going to choose a person? How are we going to do that? Are we going to? It was kind of touched on a little bit ago, but
It's like the architect asked for bids. Once you waive it,
we probably need to figure out how we're going to do that. So people will know. I said, I don't have any answers. I don't know what's going with it yet.
I'm up to the commission. I don't know. My 2 cents is that you'd have to bid it like you do in the other professional contract. And how long does it have to be advertised for? I don't know. This is a special circumstance. Also, professional service.
Well, I should wonder if we need to go ahead, if that's what we're going to do, we need to go ahead and start getting advertised. That way everyone has the same equal opportunity to know about it.
If that's the way we want to go. I don't know if we know all the parameters of what it would require, and then
That's going to be hard to write a job description or a specification or whatever the right term is right now. But I don't disagree with you, but I don't know what to put out there.
I don't know. I don't either. I just don't. To me, it's going to be advertised. It's going to be time consuming. So we need to.
Which we won't want to mess around and dilly-dally, but on the other hand, they won't be as critical until we are about ready to at least closer to actually writing checks. Because up until that time, we're just gonna receive one check and it's gonna be sitting in the bank until we decide to spend it. But yeah, we can't wait weeks and weeks.
Yeah, we can. That's why we're gonna go outside. We need to figure out how we're gonna do that.
And so I'll try to inquire with some of my counterparts what they're doing. Maybe Angie can too, some of her counterparts what they're doing as far as the county firm.
the county has an accounting firm that does contract already for the county. So they may be a resource as well, and they may do.
Contact them and see. Get the ball rolling at least. I think that's all I had. Probably If there's anything else, was it? Next week, we'll probably come back with the resolution to extend the disaster declaration another 60 days. We thought there was enough on the trip today. We can save that for next week. For everybody.
It expired or 16th,
I believe so.
a decision will have to be made next week.
The recommendation from the state is to do it, to continue it, so extend it. So there's really not much reason not to. That's all I have.
Any other questions for us?
And Russell, since people watch the meetings, for businesses that are gonna wanna take advantage of and apply for the Spark funding, you might encourage them what type of information they'll need to collect so that maybe it'll help streamline and expedite whatever booking or paperwork they're gonna need. They can't just come in and say, here's what I have. There needs to be documentation.
Yeah, in lieu of getting more information from the state, what I anticipate is if you have business expenses related to COVID, you'll need to submit what those are, why you did them, and receipts for them. And then that will be the things that the committee looks at to help authorize or justify the expense and see that it meets the criteria that we have in front of us at the time. So you can't just throw a number out there. You need to have documentation that shows when you bought it, how much you bought it for, and a descriptor of why you bought it.
Yeah, huge amount of things gonna have to happen in a very short period of time, isn't it?
And a lot of hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait.
Thanks, Russell. Wade, we had a question from Wayne. Probably ought to go into executive session to discuss personal matters and non-elected personnel. Wade and Denise, or
Either one.
either one of these.
Information.
Information.
Or both of us, yeah.
How long, Wayne? 10 minutes cover it, or?
I think so, since we've already kind of covered the oversight of it. And something I'd visit with Wade on. This is working with them.
I'll make that motion, but I don't know why number detail particularly. And you probably have some.
Councilor Clerk, Engineer, and Commission for 10 minutes. Bob has moved.
I'll second.
All in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Go in at 11:10. The term here.
How many minutes?
10 minutes.
Oh, it wasn't bad. Had odds and ends and stuff, but mainly the big thing that I'm very proud of Coffee County was the escort on Sunday. I am so very proud of our community from the farmer at the county line south that pulled up there, this farm truck, couple of bales of hay, and stuck a flag in the bale of hay. And then his son stood, you know, and all the way to Vito. It was that way. Something down, Lebo Fire and Waverly were up at Vito, and Jack Abels from Lebo Lumber had his big crane up there with a huge American flag. It was, you know, I'm so proud of our community. Absolutely. It was amazing. I heard nothing but long comments from the people. Coffee County should be very proud of our citizens. And they just show that man great. What'd you think of that flag? It was amazing. It was amazing. That's what I was telling Mark about. It was amazing. Jack Davis. He's a tremendous person. Jack is an old friend. His daughter and my daughter have been driving basketball together, so he's been lucky. She's amazing him so many years. He was just a good person. I'm not sure.
The first one at 10 grew up in the student, and the others are already lit, and they're going off. Scott Harmon was the one that lit that one. Well, this is 40, so 4 rows of 10 shots. Not singles. So he lit the first one at 1:07 in our show. Crossfire, about that. Yeah, and I'm probably here to not the kitchen, but not too far away. I'm like 5-ish. I had no idea. I mean, I couldn't see it. Because when they go off, you don't see them. Right. They go so fast until they pop. Right. Over me and over Jarvis was in a fire truck, landed in the only patch. Sorry, Joe.
Several years ago, we were living on all the time, like, as a class, whatever. Because the guy that had to go to the book, and he screwed up, and so they called him out on it. They were behind trying to find somebody, so I found a guy that was certified. He was willing to do it, and he had to get out of the break. I can't find it for $400 or $500.
We're back in session. Concluded our agenda. Wade, do you have anything for roundtable?
Let me see if William's still here.
I think he went in Russell's office.
Did you need the original, the ones you wrote down? Just gonna go around?
Well, I scribbled on mine.
I scribbled on mine too, Fred,
So
so.
I haven't scribbled on mine if you want to use
Okay,
them.
yeah. That worked. Get those signed. For the ice machine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that's fine.
I'm gonna request a 5-minute executive session for consultation with county counselor, myself, the board, and Wayne to discuss ongoing county litigation for matters being privileged under the attorney-client relationship. Exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 75, 4319 B2. 5 minutes should be enough.
I'll move.
Bob has moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Don is second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0, or sorry, 4-0. We'll go in for 5 minutes. Wade, Wayne, Commission, return here. I'm going in 11:26.
We're gonna try this. Let's see how well it works, but gosh. Okay. I'm alive. We're gonna dig them holes out a little better and make sure it's solid before we put it in.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to see.
Well, it's gonna have some strength, but
As long as it gets a spot, otherwise it would keep weathering off. Yes, awesome. How did Neutron's fireworks go, Mark?
We didn't have city fireworks,
Oh, you didn't?
but, we had better though, Stinkies.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Now, where does he do that at?
Where he lives up there by the water tower.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard it was quite the show.
I don't know, it's probably around an hour and a half. of
Really?
Fireworks, yeah.
Yeah, I seen a bunch of pictures on Facebook and stuff of them all laid out everywhere, and I was just, and I don't know why I didn't stop. The wife and I had gone to Topeka. Well, I guess our daughter went with us too, and we went up and did some shopping and stuff, and we got back just probably about the right time. I should have stuck around.
Yeah, it was, we got there late, probably didn't get there till about 9:45, but I think they're going off to close to 11. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? We didn't buy any fireworks this year. We,
Saw a lot of people shoot them off.
there was, and so, but I went over to Gridley and did the traffic control and stuff for the parade there and everything, and then got done with it, and I went home and threw some hot dogs on the grill, and the wife and I ate a couple of hot dogs and just relaxed, and we heard all the boom, boom, booms going off and stuff, but it was kind of different, because usually we have family over, and all the kids, and everybody brings their fireworks and everything, and then just shoots them off there at the farm, and everybody kind of had different plans this year. Didn't really know with all this COVID stuff going on and what to do, and so everybody just kind of done their own thing this year.
Didn't seem to slow too many people down.
No. No.
No serious incidents that you know of?
No, we had one we're investigating. Originally came in as a four-wheeler accident where the four-wheeler had flipped with the child, pinned or hurt, and so we were responding to it, and about the time of the Gridley parade.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, and so, anytime you hear a four-wheeler accident with a child, or, we were, and then we got about, 3 or 4 miles out of town, and the story changed, and there was no child. It was a child's four-wheeler with an adult on it, and the adult had left and went home, Iola, and said they weren't hurt.
So everything was okay?
Everything was okay, so. It was all good.
Angie, these are the originals, but they need the numbers put in.
Okay.
I saw
Do that.
their visuals.
Back in session, Lee?
I don't have anything else for today.
Angie, do you have anything for roundtable?
Just a couple of things, just a second here. Did we decide what day we were signing checks and vouchers this month? Did you guys have that down on the calendar?
And the calendar.
The 29th was a Wednesday, and then checks would go out on the 31st.
I've got it, my calendar on the 29th.
Okay. And then what about for August?
For August,
29th, give you enough time.
Yeah.
We set that day here 2 months ago.
And I don't have August in there.
We don't have August set yet.
Okay, do you want to look at the 27th, Thursday, the 27th at 9?
And July 29th is on what, Wednesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then September, we could do them on the 28th. That's check sign, or a regular meeting anyway. You can always change them too.
Right.
And then October
What day did you say in September, Angie?
28th. October, the 28th would be about our normal.
28th?
And then November, let's see, what day is Thanksgiving on this year?
Thursday.
Hang on.
26.
26th, okay, so probably we want to find it on the 23rd, because they'll go out the 30th. Because, let's see. That's gonna really kind of short. I don't know, would you guys want to come in on the 25th at all before Thanksgiving, or,
You mean like the day before?
yeah?
Why not?
I mean, if you're okay with that, that would help us out a lot.
Regular working day,
We can tentatively schedule that, November 25th.
25th.
And then we'll go ahead and take care of December since we're doing this. We could probably do the 28th, Monday the 28th, which is normal meeting day. It's one day early, but that way you gotta come back on the 31st anyway, so. And then, I've got the auditor lined up to be here July 27th on Monday to work the budgets with you guys. So would it be okay if I took your book and went through it? There were some changes last week that I didn't get in my box, so if I could go through yours and make sure I have everything, because I have to send all the numbers to the auditor. Otherwise, it's gonna waste time for him to sit here and go through every single one.
Okay.
So I tried to get mine updated based off Bob's, but I might use yours and just go through some sort of. And I think that's all I have for today. So.
Brad, do you have anything for round table?
No, I do not.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, I visited with Denise last Wednesday or Thursday, I'm not sure the right day. And then also with Angie a little bit. The monthly payments last week for a number of employees, which included some commission, as well as the $1,800, those that selected the $1,800 on the self-insurance was put together as one payment, one voucher. It hadn't been done that way in all the years that, or 3 years previous that I've been here. And how long before that, I don't know. But when I visited with Denise about it, this is the first time that they've been put together. And there's 3 commissioners, I understand, that received that, as well as 3 employees. And by putting them together, which is a little bit immaterial to me, but the issue was that Denise or Angie or both made the decision, and to me, that should have been a commissioner's decision, putting those 2 vouchers together. Denise made the comment that she had talked to the 3 employees and they assumed it was probably all right. But when you put the 2 together, it goes into a higher tax bracket, so they have less take-home money. So I don't know whether that was explained to them or not. But to me, that decision is absolutely the commission's decision.
Didn't we decide the week before we were going to approve the extra $100?
Not to put them together.
Is that an issue? I mean, really, happens one time a year? Is that really an issue?
Yeah, but if the 1,800 goes in as an annual deal.
Well, I'm one of them, it didn't bother me.
I'm sorry?
I'm one of them, it didn't bother me.
Well, technically, no, but it shouldn't have been their decision to make, Bob.
Cody, could I address, can I speak on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so, just to give you guys a little time frame on what occurred. So we came to you on June 15th to ask about increasing the HSA contributions.
Right.
Because the IRS increased that. The board wanted us to return the following week with the number of employees that were on that, HSA, the total HSA, not just those extra that get that free money, basically. We came back to you with the number of the employees and the costs. You guys made the decision on June 22nd to go ahead and increase that. So our timesheets were due in our office, all of the county timesheets were due in our office by June 22nd. We did not get all of our timesheets until June 24th on Wednesday. We had basically 2 days to get payroll done and have it ready by Monday. You guys had already approved what the amount was for the HSA money. That was a done deal. That was your decision.
That's not the discussion.
Okay, give me a minute, Dawn.
Okay.
So then, Denise had come to me and said, Angie, we're on a tight schedule. We can't do 2 direct deposits on the same day. Is there any way you think we could just combine them? And I said, well, I don't know that there would be a problem because they're still gonna get their money either way. And so that's what we did for this month. That was not a commission decision. We change people all the time from direct deposit to they want to check. And so do we need to come to you every week when somebody wants to change from a check to direct deposit too?
That's not the issue here. Always before, you know, the 1,800 from the self-insurance is one voucher, the salary is one voucher. When you put the two of them together, it throws everybody into a tax bracket. Technically, it'll all come out at the end of the year when they file their income tax. But Denise said that she talked to the 3 employees, whether she had or not. I assume she did. But did she tell them they'd end up with less cash money? Because it does so you into a higher tax. 1,800 goes into a $22,000 annual deal. So that throws your monthly check into a $22,000 annual. Throws them into higher tax bracket, you'll end up with less money taken home. To me, it's kind of immaterial, but to me, it should have been a commission decision to make that change that has been in place for 3 years.
Well, we did.
Your discussion is different than what I'm talking about.
Well, Dawn, we did the best we could with the time we had, you know, and if this is a real big issue, we can do a negative balance or a negative number on federal next month and give them their money back or whatever. Those employees told us they did not want a paper check, they wanted a direct deposit. We did what they asked because.
But were they told up front that they received less net money?
Denise, do you know? No.
Pardon?
She said she did not tell them that.
Yeah, see, I didn't tell them they was gonna receive less money, which would probably been 6 to 8%. I don't know what bracket everybody's in.
Well.
But see, it's the principle behind it, because it's always been one way and all of a sudden it got changed.
They still got their money.
No, they didn't. They got short of 6 to 8%, maybe 10. So you can't say they got the money.
Well, they'll have less they'll have to pay in at the end of the year, or more money they'll get back.
And I understand that. I've already made that quotation. At the end of the year, it'll get balanced out.
Do you want?
I guess what I was upset about is because to me, something's been in place for 3 years, no changes, no questions, and all of a sudden it gets changed.
Okay, so we should have called a special meeting then.
Well,
So
I don't know why it got down to a 2-day deal, but
we didn't get all the timesheets in until the 24th on Wednesday, Dawn.
And it wasn't that it was a 2-day deal, it's that due to the ACH system, you couldn't do 2 direct deposits.
you can't do 2 direct deposits the same day.
No, come sit in my office with me and learn our system and you'll understand it.
See, that's something I'm not aware of, so. But it's always been done in the years past, so.
We wrote checks for those, Dawn.
I think I did sign checks a year ago when I was chairman.
For those 6 people or 7 people, you
But
guys.
see, my one deal goes direct and then I get a check, so why couldn't that been done this year?
They didn't.
It wasn't
The
done.
individuals didn't want.
It didn't want to hand, oh, okay.
They wanted it direct deposit.
Well, at least you know where I stand.
Right. So basically, if the employee has a problem, then.
And to me, they're the ones that they should have been told right up front that they'd receive 6 to 10% less income for that particular pay period. And that should have been explained to them, but that wasn't done, so.
Well, we did the best what we could do for the short time we had, and if you want, we can make a negative balance next month on this July's payroll.
I think that would add more, that'd make more issues, Angie.
I wouldn't have anything for roundtable with that. Just gotta get through special issues.
It'll take a while to get through these, because there's one budget.
Donna, do you have anything for roundtable?
I do not have.
Mr. Chairman, I got one deal real quick on Top County Lake.
All right, come on up, Brandy.
Okay, I was out of town last week, I apologize, but, been talking with Dawn out the way, and it's our recommendation to the commission to consider expansion of the hours back to, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., which then puts us pretty close on the, sunrise to sunset issue. We're already there till 4 o'clock anyway, and the extended 3 hours this time of year when it gets hot, they like that.
Those last 3 hours.
They like those last 3 hours. And so we think we can manage it and stuff with the hours we've saved, you know, till now. So we think it's manageable. We will go ahead and continue the social distancing, the disinfecting. And that's one reason for saying at 7 p.m. we'll start calling the boats off, and they'll fish their way to the docks, and that'll get them back by 8 o'clock. And that still gives us, you know, with the reason I use this, it gave you the sunset times. That still gives us time to get them out of there and still disinfect and do things and not make too long a day. I talked to the guys about splitting it up, the hours. They like working fewer days and the longer hours versus, you know, lesser hours, more days. We'll see if we can manage it. I think we can. If not, I'll come back to you guys and tell you we can't manage it and we got to do something different. I'll have a recommendation, but for now, I'd like the board's approval to go ahead and expand those hours and let's give it a shot and see what happens.
You go to shorter hours during the winter. I've never been out there other than just drive in and that's about it. What hours during the winter when it gets dark at 5 o'clock?
We still do sunrise to sunset. And
So the
we,
time changes a little.
yeah, with the time change, it definitely shrinks the hours down in the day. And we don't permit any new boats on 2 hours prior to sunset. It's just because by the time you register them and they unload, there really isn't any fishing time. But the guys are really good about looking at the time period and how they want to fish and that sort of thing. So I really think this is manageable if it's okay with the board. So if that's okay, I'd like to
I don't see a problem with it.
to give it a shot and let's see what happens. The guys are eager to get back to some more normal hours and the fishermen are wanting it as well. Our regulars have been asking for it. And so I think it's time. I think we give it a shot and see what happens. So is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll adjust that on the website and everything and get that out there for everybody. Thank you. Do you want one more? Here you go. Yeah.
So good. I have an updated one for the sheriff and the lake, but I didn't get it until this morning. Do you want me to go make those copies now?
Sure.
Okay.
Ask Russell, but this committee, would it be better if it wasn't a city council member from the cities? Or would it, or should it be? Just have to think about that, would it be better to, just a citizen? Or a council member, or mayor?
Might be a weight question, whether or
Yeah.
not it could conflict with the council. If the city was applying for funding, but then also approving, but I think Russell, I think the committee will be reviewing the applications from small business and private.
Right.
Whereas the city's applications will be going to Russell.
Very true, Russell. Well, I didn't know.
But it-
I was at council meetings this week. I guess it could be either, right? However they want to, what they feel they want to do.
just looked at everything, and 100+ Bob, everything looks like it all fits. There's not near as many dollars there this time as there normally is.
All the vouchers there,
I'm sorry,
all the vouchers there.
every one over $100 was. But it's a small. Looking at them in between the $100 ones, I mean, I looked at what he just to find the next one, so. You any gadget?
No, nothing. I just want to make sure the checks are there.
Yep.
Okay, here's the jail. This is the jail. That's the jail one. This is the jail plan.
Do we pay taxes, the county's on? Sales tax?
It depends. I mean, a lot of them I don't think we do, but. No, we shouldn't. I have a set up the taxes.
Well, I noticed there was one sales tax $79, sales tax $52.
Sure. I had a set up the tax. Unless someone else. Sure.
What sort of the jail vault
Okay, this could
exchange,
be-
we take out everything we got?
Yeah.
No,
I see that real quick.
just put it on.
Okay, so they are set up, they have their own Amazon
Oh,
account,
no, that's.
so they're not using the one I have.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's set up tax exempt, so I can get with them and tell them they need to do that.
There's no change in it.
Okay. Okay, I didn't realize they were, I have that on there.
What the changes were. This one's late.
Okay, thank you.
again about insuring that trailer, that's fine.
Anything else at the moment to discuss in the meeting? Turn at 12:04. Keep that there one more.
Here's my responses. No question. I need to go through and scrutinize a little more, but I know there's 3 or 4 of them on the budget. And I don't want to be accused of,
If you, I am going to stick to that word limit, so if you would rather have control over it, you might do that.
I might make some cuts in it, and you can adjust it.
Yeah, because
Will that work?
I'd rather you did that, because other than if you didn't, then I'd have to go through.
Okay. I hate to have sound in one. Is your computer, you set that up,
Yeah.
you can't words?
Yeah, because we would use Microsoft Word, and when you stick that in there, it'll, whatever I highlight, it'll tell me how many words is there.
Okay, I'll type this, I'll get the first, I get a picture of it, that's the microphone.
Yeah, I should be back there roughly at 1 o'clock.
I'll scrutinize this a little bit. If I want to have permits.
Are they done?
I have to-
That's fine.
I thought it was gonna go longer.
I don't want to.
You don't want to be responsible.
There's some people out there that say, "Oh,